next I want to play what Coach Freeman said about Brian Mason, because, I mean, we Sean, we've heard all the stories about Brian Mason and how good of a job he's doing, how much the kids love him, and you see his energy on the sideline at games, and you see how excitable he is, and how the players respond to him, and he's such a break from what they had before. I mean, it's just night and day contrast in every way imaginable. But there were some other comments that he said about him that I thought were really interesting that I want to play now for everybody.
Yeah, I've worked with Brian Mason since 2011 when I was at Kent State, and we hired him as a defensive GA. And Mace has those qualities in terms of work ethic, intelligence, the ability to connect with players that you see here 10, 11 years later that, to me in my mind is he's one of the best, right? And he does a great job. But why? Is because of his work ethic. Why? Because of his intelligence. Why? Because of his ability to teach and relate to players. You can have all these thoughts in your head, but if your players can't go out and execute it and have a belief in what you're presenting, you're not a great coach, right? You might be really smart, but coaches are as good as their players can perform. And that's what really, continues.
We'll run that back.
Because of his ability to teach and relate to players. You can have all these thoughts in your head, but if your players can't go out and execute it and have a belief in what you're presenting, you're not a great coach, right? You might be really smart, but coaches are as good as their players can perform. And that's what really, continues to make my belief in Brian Mason so strong. And you know what? He's continuing to get better. I mean, listen, you're not going to trick anybody. You've blocked 3 punts in the last 2 games, I think 5 this year. So, and it's not just punt block. I challenged the special teams unit in kickoff return. We had been below average in kickoff return. What you see last week, we got one opportunity and it came out for 30-something plus yards and could have went almost. We get one more block, it could go farther. And so that's what you love to see, guys that step up to a challenge, but also enhance the things they're really good at.
Now, I want to say something. I've had people say that was a shot at Tommy Rees. I don't think that's what it was.
Oh.
I think that's what he sees in Brian Mason. That was a guy that he went out and said that when he's putting his staff together, that's my guy. And we heard a lot of names about as far as special teams coordinators who might be interested in some guys who are bigger names than Brian Mason. But this was the guy that was always targeted from Marcus Freeman's side of things, the guy he wanted.
Yeah.
And so I don't think that was a shot at Tommy Rees. But I will say this. Those are the things that he said after the Stanford loss that they needed to do on offense and defense.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly he says, look, we maybe got to scale things back. We've got to make sure that our kids understand what they're doing so they can go play fast. And that's exactly the deal on special teams. It's one thing for you to have all these schemes and all these plays. And this is because I could easily say that that's a silent dig at Al Golden. If we want to, think about who he's playing, who's he talking to, right? That's an issue on both sides of the ball. It's just a greater issue on offense. I don't think it was a dig at either one of them. I think it was a praise of Brian Mason, but there's a lot in there for the other 2 coaches. And I think when you break the film down, I don't think Al Golden is all of a sudden Clark Lee all of a sudden and just running a scaled down offense and just let your defense, let your guys go run. But he has taken some things away from checks and adjustments and just letting these kids play and more calls that tell them what to do as opposed to letting them read and react and think and flow and all that. And I think that's what we saw to a degree on Saturday against Syracuse offensively.
Yeah.
There were some things I would have liked to have seen this and I would have liked to have seen that. And there's certainly things that I did after the show critique and would have critiqued last night if I'd have done the upon further review. I'd like to see this. I'd like to see that. That's kind of what we do. But you can't necessarily say there was a million things in the offense that game because in the second half, they just lined up in 13 personnel the whole fourth quarter and said, we're running duo, try and stop it. And they couldn't. You know what I mean?
You know how hard that is? Like, let's not just gloss over that.
Yeah.
There are other big-time Division I players, Power 5 players on the other side of the ball.
Yes.
They're just not allowing you to do that. You are literally taking their will. I hear offensive linemen talking about it all the time. There's nothing better than moving somebody against their will. Like, I'm taking you here, and you're going to end up over there. And there's nothing you can do about it. And when we get up from this play, I'm coming right back.
Right.
We'll be right back.
That's soul crushing, Sean.
Yes.
I mean, and that's why, I mean, that's the thing is that's the statement that you make because you're not only, here's the thing, you're not only doing it to Syracuse, but Clemson's watching that and they're thinking, man, we just played this team. We know who this team is. We know how physical that, because, hey, look, that game was physical for Clemson as well. It wasn't like
do that from the jump.
No.
They couldn't do that from the jump.
No.
They had to wear them down.
Right. Notre Dame did that from snap one. And so those are the things you look at, Sean, and you say, you know, man, like, but my thing was going to be is this Clemson defense knows, they know who Notre Dame is. I mean, who Syracuse is. They know the physicality and the quickness and the way that Syracuse played that game, and that's why they fell behind 21-10. They're going to watch Notre Dame do that and be like, man, okay, wow, like that's really. That's impressive. They're going to see that and know, like, these cats are serious. So I think that's the thing is like, look, it doesn't matter how smart you are. It's your kids got to know it he also said, and there's got to be a belief in what you're doing. And that's one of the things I wrote in the article today is, you know, I can hammer Tyrese all I want and I will, but here's the deal. There are things that happen on Saturday that I'm not going to put on Tyrese's shoulders because at some point in time, Drew Pine's got to say, man, I got to make this play, right? And yeah, okay, maybe I wasn't given enough reps about something if I'm going to critique something, but I got to make that play. I've thrown 1 million screen passes in my life. I can't throw that ball at Lorenzo Styles' feet. I've thrown Michael Mayer 175 quick out cuts in the last 2 weeks alone. I can't miss that throw on 3rd and 3. You know, and it comes down to it to where Drew's got to trust himself, trust his teammates, and trust the system to just say, go play. Right. And you're seeing that on special teams. You're starting to see that more and more and more on defense. And now the final piece is getting the offense as a whole to buy into that. I think they've definitely bought into it up front and at running back. Like the running backs level of patience in the last 3-4 games compared to where it was early.
Yeah.
Like, remember the big critique we had of Logan Diggs last year. And everybody knows I'm very high on Logan Diggs. Graded him higher than Audric coming out of high school. I said he was a top 150 kind of kid, borderline top 100 type of back. Love Logan Diggs. And he showed his talent last year. But the thing I said was him and Kyron both started developing really bad habits because of the line, where as soon as they got the ball, they were looking to bounce or cut. And we saw a lot of that from Logan against Ohio State, right, in limited snaps. But we started seeing that, you know, over the next couple of weeks and even a little bit against North Carolina. But the last couple games, he's been so patient behind the line when he needs to be, because there's a level of trust in his head that if I stay patient, these cats are going to show, they're going to open up the hole for me and then I can hit it. Yeah. And when he needs to bounce it because the defense got through, he bounces it and he's effective at it. But that's a big reason he's been so good the last couple of weeks is because you can just see he's playing with confidence, not just in himself, because Logan has never doubted himself. Right. Which is that's a compliment, by the way, in case someone thinks I'm taking a shot or calling him arrogant. You can't play running back at this level or receiver or quarterback if you're not confident in yourself. But it's one thing to be confident in yourself. It's another thing to be confident in those cats in front of you blocking. And the way that him and Audric ran on Saturday and the way that Logan has ran really the last 2 weeks, he's running like a dude, like these cats are going to open up the hole and then I got to go do my thing. And it's really been impressive.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to seeing that against what is, in my opinion, the best front seven they're going to face all year. In my view, it's not the best defense they're going to face all year, but it's the best front seven they're going to face all year.
You know, I like stepping out on a limb by myself. I don't mind. I'll step out there. I think they can be successful running the ball. I think they will be successful running the ball. And just like you said, this is the apex of defensive fronts this season. I will predict that they will roll the USC defense.
Yeah,
if they beat Clemson,
if they lose to USC, Sean, at the end of the year, it was only going to be in a shootout.
Yes.
If they beat Clemson. To your point, if
they beat Clemson,
if they
beat this, if they get the confidence of overcoming this defensive front, I guarantee you Lincoln Riley is looking at film like with the same mindset that Dino Babers has. Like, He just happens to have an offense that can counter.
Right.
Right. But the point is, you won't be on the field.
Right.
That's the whole point.
Right.
If you're going to be on the sideline, I'm telling you, this game is, we can't even describe the levels and layers of how important this game is. Even with the disappointing season. And I'm glad this team is right where they are. I'm glad they're right where they are mentally. I'm glad they're ready to go. And like you said, Drew Pine, the offensive line. Look, Clemson's going to try to do some of the same things that Syracuse did. Syracuse came in with the game plan. We're going to take advantage of our big wide receivers on Benjamin Morrison.
Sure.
They're going to try Bo Collins and Ngata. Clemson's going to try the exact same thing, right? Benjamin Morrison, he's going to be solid.
Right.
He's going to be exactly what he's been. Are they going to have some shots to get some balls? Yeah.
And they will catch some, just like Syracuse did. They're going to catch some.
Yeah.
But what was Syracuse, Sean? What was Syracuse's completion success against Benjamin Morrison? For all the talk about it, they went 2 of 5, and if you count the interception that should not have been taken away, it's 2 of 6.
And if you completed 2 passes on him. Marcus Freeman said he was playing bumper run. Yeah. We told him to bail.
So
that's
I reached out to someone else about that to see if that was just coach covering for Benjamin, and I was told the same exact thing by another source. Like, no, that was our mistake. Like, we told him, and they didn't do a good enough job of explaining like how he should have bailed on that one. He bailed out, which is what you do to the field.
Yeah.
Whereas in the red zone, you're going to bail, but you're going to bail in to try to prevent that. You know, it's a technical mistake that they just didn't. And I think part of that is he's such a mature player for his age that sometimes you assume, you know, that you can say something to him that you could say to Clarence Lewis because Clarence is going to know what he means because Clarence has been through it, kind of thing. So, but how did he bounce back? Right, this is the thing is he and then like a series later he gets a defensive pass interference called on him or defensive holding called on him.
Right,
you're thinking, boy, but after that, I really couldn't do a whole lot on him.
Yeah,
I mean, so it's that mental toughness that this entire team needs to start showing more and more of. He did it to a degree against Syracuse. Now they need to take it to another level because I don't know if playing the way you did against Syracuse is quite enough to beat Clemson. It's going to make it a 4-quarter game. I still think at quarterback you need to make a couple more plays to be able to beat Clemson that you did not make against Syracuse.
Yeah.
But if you can, but it's going to be a game.